Any questions, or we can stretch and have some goodies? See,
You said that your aunt had preceded your family here. How did she come about coming to US? What reasons did she have for
well,
coming?
it's kind of, there was a lot of arranging going on,
Oh,
and her husband was an American citizen because he was born here. Right?
Yes.
But he was from Piandelagotti. So they had known each other, and so she was called over,
okay.
and they got married in Highwood, and that's what started it all.
It was after the war.
It was before the war.
Before the war.
Before the war. And then after the war, she called everybody over. Congress passed an act that really encouraged immigrants from Italy. And we were fortunate enough to be
Was
part
your
of it.
father's occupation as a carpenter a factor in getting to the head of the line?
Yes. They were looking for tradesmen.
Yeah.
He was a master carpenter. I worked with him one day. He'd tell me, measure once and measure again. I don't have the patience. I had my mother's impatience. He was so meticulous, so precise. It's good enough. No, it's not. It's got to be, okay, I think we need to do something else.
Did your family do a lot of woodwork on your homestead?
Yeah, my dad, it's still there in both the bedrooms. He made the armoire, and there's a lot of furniture that I have still, little cabinets and little coffee tables that my father built when he was here. Anything to save some money and make a good living for us. So, impressive.
After the Nazis left, after the war, your family was able to get a home back. How did that happen?
Yeah. It was a struggle. As you know, Italy went to the other side,
Yeah.
so, but America the Allies continued to attack and actually killed a number of Germans in Piandelagotti that the Nazis at gunpoint had the men dig graves, shallow graves, right at the park, which is now a park. But eventually they lost the war and they left, and they eventually came back for bodies. What was your question?
Just about getting your home back, the family home.
Yeah.
After they,
Yeah, so
took over.
we got the family house back, and the carpentry shop was reestablished on the first floor, and then we moved in after my parents got married in 1947. This was 1950, 1951. So we had one room. It's maybe a quarter, a little bit of a kitchen, But if you ask my mom, the best time of her life, you know what she says? Dad. When we were little kids, and she'd wash the clothes at the fontana down the road a little bit and dry them on the stove with those little metal things that come out. She put on. She loved it. She loved it. So slowly but surely, everybody rebuilt, and they got money. The farms got money to rebuild, and it was the dairy industry that really. But the big companies came in the 90s, the co-ops and all the milking machines, and so everything was cheaper. Butter and cheese all sold through the Casificio. What did they call it? I don't even remember what they called it. But slowly but surely, the co-ops, and slowly but surely, the kids didn't want to farm. It's hard work. You wake up at 5, you go to bed. You got to do it again. And if something happened to the cows, oh my God, that's your livelihood. So, yeah.
Is it better to be a miner than a dairy farmer?
Yeah, they come over here because he saw the lot of
What about
Italians.
you? How do you feel? Do you feel like two people? Do you have any problems? You always feel you're in the wrong place?
Never. And again, Dominic, I attribute that to my parents. They never turned their back on their heritage. They encouraged us to do what we needed to do here in America. We weren't going to go back. But they never spoke disparagingly about Italy. Some people do. You know, we're in America now. I don't want to hear that, Lou.
Yeah.
You know, and consequently, their kids are like, they know nothing about the beauty of the culture and the heritage.
Yeah, you were always proud. I was not proud of being an Italian when I was growing up. I
Why?
wanted to be American.
Yeah.
And I think the school system was pointing us toward being middle-class Americans and leaving behind the Italian culture.
Maybe I was just lucky. In Highwood,
Well, that's the community. I was in an Italian community as well, but
where was that again?
Chicago Heights.
Okay.
But I don't know if we supported each other nearly as well, or we did not have as pleasant an experience to remember as.
Yeah. Now there were some situations. I remember my dad distinctly telling me that he'd go up and buy some bread, and I think at the time was 15 cents, but he'd get overcharged because they didn't think that he got it. This guy doesn't get it. We'll charge him a quarter. And he remembers that distinctly. He was non-confrontational. He was a tough guy, but he was non-confrontational. And of course, he felt that the language was a barrier for him. So it was rough even in Highwood, but you know, he had to venture out. The cocoon was there, right? He had to go to work in Waukegan and all over. Where my mom stayed, right in the cocoon.
He began driving right away? Did he drive in Italy?
No, he didn't drive in Italy. We were nowhere near affluent enough to get a car. But you know, we started buying Chevrolets. Dominic, don't buy anything else but a Chevrolet. That's what he bought. And he learned to drive. And I tried to teach my mother once. She gunned it. While she was in reverse, we missed the hydrant about that much. I asked her to get out of the car. Basta, no more. So, but my dad went to school. He learned to read. Again, he was very articulate, very intelligent man. But I felt very comfortable in both situations. Both situations. Anybody want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say with my dad, just that idea of receiving that check every week when we came here, because that was one of the main reasons that we came. He was doing the work and working hard, but boy, every Friday he received the check, and to him that was just. Whereas when we were back in Piandelagotti, they'd give him a dozen eggs, or they'd give him.
People still owe money.
Yeah.
They do. They never paid. They'd give him barter sometimes, you know, from the farm. There was a ton of work, but just not any money. So.
How many times did your mom go back to visit Italy after she came?
Good question.
1955, right?
We got here in 1950, 62, 69,
83.
83. Her last time was 1993. And after that, and she was still young, 1993, quanto, 72. You know, she was healthy. She declared, basta. It's too much.
Oh.
The joy of going there, you should see it. It was just like unbelievable joy. But then the week before the departure date, her mood just completely, everybody's mood. They started crying 5 days before we had to leave. And the last time was too much, she couldn't take it. So she said no more. Though she could have traveled easily back at any time. And then again, near the end of her life, when it was the Alzheimer's kicking in, she was gonna go then. She was so cute.
How did you communicate? Letters, phone?
Yeah, in the beginning it was letters. And everybody wrote, and it took weeks. And my mother here would make what we called a pacco, a pack, big box, put all clothes, and they couldn't get aspirin over there. And Aspro cream.
We'd always bring aspirin back.
Yeah.
Every time we went back, we'd buy
Yeah,
bottles of aspirin.
yeah. And you put it in a pack and you put it on a boat, and maybe 2 months later you get indication that it made it. My mom would would sew it up in cloth, and my dad would reinforce it because it get tossed around the bottom of the ship, right? After that, it was the telephone. Oh my God, we got plans. We got plans that you could talk for 30 minutes for $10 or
But
something.
we had to make an appointment.
We had to make
go
an
up
appointment.
the hotel bar in town and
With the
say,
phone.
America's
The phone.
calling at 8 p.m. on Sunday night, so that they'd go up the mountain and go there.
Yep,
and-
walk up the mountain.
Yeah, and for the appointment, and then they finally got a phone in their home.
Now it's WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does Paula say? WhatsApp?
Buzz up.
What's up?
What's up?
Buzz up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a lot easier now,
Yeah.
of course. And so is the trip, though it's still long. 9 hours there. You have to go to a big city, and transfer into Bologna. And then it's 2 hours from Bologna up the mountains. 328 curves. Hairpin.
You counted?
Yeah, yeah, you know.
Yes, grazie per questa presentazione della nostra esperienza, di tutti noi, più o meno, quasi simile. Cesare Pavese, chi conosce Cesare Pavese?
Italian writer Cesare Pavese.
Ha scritto una novella, un libro meraviglioso, si chiama La luna e i falò, e narra esattamente un'esperienza quasi simile. Anguilla è un nome emblematico. Le anguille cosa sono?
Eagles.
Cosa fanno? Ritornano al luogo di nascita, come i salmoni. Come i salmoni. Cioè, è un nome emblematico che viene in America. E dove? A Chicago. E poi ritorna in Italia per dare il suo contributo alla liberazione dell'Italia. Diventa un partigiano.
Ecco.
Ok? Partigiano. Una underground guerriglia against the Nazi. Okay? Ha scritto questo libro, La luna e i falò, descrivendo il ritorno in Italia, in Piemonte. Lui è Piemonte, Cesare Pavese è piemontese, ma Piemonte
È vicino.
è vicino,
Sì,
esatto,
sì.
siamo nella stessa situazione.
Sì.
E perché ritorna? E dice una cosa grandiosa, e noi abbiamo vissuto questa sua esperienza, grazie di nuovo. E lui dice una cosa meravigliosa, dice così: si gira per il mondo, per terra e per mare, ma un paese ci vuole, non per qualsiasi ragione speciale, no, ci vuole perché è lì che siamo quello che siamo. Ci siamo formati le ossa nelle nostre montagne. Un paese ci vuole, non tanto per dire che appartengo a questo paese, ma perché lì c'è la gente, ci sono le piante, che anche quando non ci siamo, ci aspettano.
La montagna.
La montagna della vita. Grazie.
I haven't had a chance to see where your town is in the mountains because I didn't get a chance to look at the map. But I spent a summer with the Southern Illinois University student group in Monte Creto, which is near Maranello and where the Ferrari factory is, and near Modena.
Yeah, yeah.
Modena proper, the city. And what you say about the mountains is really impressive too, because in that town, I don't know what the industry was, because they seem like it might have been dairy, but it's mostly hotels at the time we were there. And the students were from Southern Illinois University, where there's lots of stars and things, but I was from Chicago, so it was different. So we would sit out on the balcony at night of the balcony of the hotel, and there was rocks down below, it was in the mountains. You could see that there were 1,000 million stars in the sky, which you could never see here. Plus I live near O'Hare, so there's too much light problems there, but it was just so impressive. We would just sit out there and talk.
Yeah.
And then there was a bar down below with music, so I mean, it made a big impression on the kids. And they were all like 20 years old, maybe teenagers. It was really something, but we traveled all around Italy from that thing. It was a student group, but that made the most impression. I can still see sitting out there in the cool of the evening with all these stars, and there were zillions. I mean, it was just
That's right.
like you would never see except like in a Steven Spielberg movie or something. It was really impressive, and yeah, it was a good year.
Well,
Sorry.
one last thing I have is that, again, I thank you for your time. This book is available, I have some here if anybody wants it. It's available on Amazon, and all the proceeds go into my son's fund. And when this gets said and done, you know, I'm gonna donate that money to a charity that Katie, my daughter, Joe, my other son, and myself deem that Christopher would have wanted us to give it there. I don't care if it's $100, $500, whatever it is. So that helps me too.
We just had mention of Cesare Pavese, La Luna in Faro, the very first novel I ever read in Italian. A gorgeous piece, which I did not understand, I was too young. But recently there was a film, won all kinds of awards. Just 3 years ago it came out. It's an Italian film called Le Otto Montagne, The Eight Mountains. Okay. And it's your life.
Really?
And you should see it.
Yeah, I will.
You know, because it is an epic journey of friendship and self-discovery set in the breathtaking Italian Alps. The Eight Mountains follows over 4 decades the profound, complex relationship between two families. You're gonna love it.
Okay, I will.
The Eight Mountains.
Well, maybe we could get a copy of it and show it here.
For sure, it's
Is it
recent.
available on DVD or streaming?
I'm sure that it is. An epic journey of friendship and self-discovery is set in the breathtaking Italian Alps. The Eight Mountains is a landmark cinematic experience, as intimate as it is monumental, as deep as it is expansive.
Order it on Amazon.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen a perfect book presentation. I've never seen anyone do a better job of presenting their book. And the purpose of the book presentation is to sell books. So get your checkbook out or your wallet out and buy the book. Yeah, for sure. Who is? Pizza. Oh, we're having pizza in 5 to 10 minutes, so don't run away.
Can I give you?
Also, we should
Price